Well, I am so excited to talk to you about this stuff. I think like the power that lies in reprogramming your subconscious and even being aware that this is a thing is
Yeah.
so powerful. And I know that, your like Instagram title is Million Dollar Hypnotist, and you also are the CEO of the FWRD Institute,
Yes.
which is so powerful and cool. And I'm very excited to learn more. But tell us a little bit more about your background and your upbringing and any ways in which it kind of played into you ending up doing this work.
So it's funny. I was actually thinking about this because I had a conversation just because of sessions earlier today and sharing a bit of my story, just in terms of connecting with clients and just explain to them how far I've come. And I started off going to Catholic school all my life, all the way up to high school. And then I even planned on becoming a nun at one point. And then I switched over to just pre-med, but then I ended up not going to med school and going into research. And then from research, I went into sales technology.
Wow.
So my background is in tech, really, and finance. And when I was burnt out because of the two businesses I was running, I rediscovered hypnosis because I originally was hypnotized when I was when I was ending a relationship. And I no longer wanted to spiral after relationships ending. I didn't know why I was doing that, but I knew like at this point, I was like, all right, I'm not high school. Cut it out. So, I had a hypnosis session and it took so well. The thing with hypnosis is such a deep change that it doesn't feel like, all right, today I'm not going to spiral. You just don't. And the realization of that years later was like, wow, I used to do that or be that person and I wasn't anymore. So I wanted to find something similar for business. And I stumbled across a program just about manifestation, but in it was a hypnosis. And so I didn't see how manifestation and hypnosis were aligning, but the hypnosis audio was really beneficial because it cleared and it also showed me the root cause of my issue. Because it's like a lot of times you're like, oh, I just need to hire a VA. Oh, I just need more time. Oh, I need to just go on vacation. Oh, I just need to like get married, find love, or some random stuff. Like someone told me that. So it's like, you just need to get married. I'm like, what? Like, why?
Right.
I'm tired. Now, I'm heterosexual, so it's like really not going to help me. So,
Yeah, totally.
like a different relationship, like a child. I'm basically adopting if I'm getting married.
Preach.
Yeah, it's like if I wasn't hetero, then it would have been a different story.
Right.
But it just really showed me like, oh wow, the reason why I was having trouble holding on or feeling like I had money blocks. I was always on this constant cycle or need to get more money, more things, was just going back to elementary school at the lunch table when you heard friends judging other people for their lunch boxes and like whispering like, oh, they probably use store brand peanut butter and all this stuff. And it's just like, so I just immediately in my mind, in order to have friends, in order for people to like you, love you, you need to have name brand stuff. You need to have the things. You need to be a luxurious person in order to be loved. And so I had my 2-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn and I said no because I'm in my late 20s. I can't have a roommate anymore. So I got rid of roommates. And so I'm paying the rent for this in Brooklyn. I'm running these businesses. And it's just like all these rules that didn't really weren't what you're really born into, what aren't the rules of reality. It's just the rules of your reality. So realizing that was the freedom that I needed. And just like that realization is what dissipated most of the burnout. Because burnout is not really just physical, it's mental, and it's feeling like there's no hope or end in sight. And having that knowing that this is the end and that there is freedom is gets you like 60% of the way, and then everything else is, then you could do self-care.
Yeah, it creates some spaciousness for self-care, for gentleness, for being soft in certain areas. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately too, like trying to add more and do more and achieve more is such a coping mechanism and such a survival strategy, or a way in which we kind of like prove to ourselves our worth, which that's not how it happens. That's not how we connect to it. And it's so powerful. And the more I do the work that I do and speak to people like you, is like at the root of literally everything we want to achieve and we want to call into our life and we want to have, is self-worth, is our relationship to self and the amount that we can connect to self-love.
And it's like the idea of it too, self-worth is not linked to how much you charge in your business, how much you make, how many friends you have, how many followers you have. Self-worth is not something that you can measure or count. It is something that you experience. So a lot of people feel like you get the thing, or you do the thing, or you know the people, that's how you get your value. But when those, especially with the pandemic, all those things disappeared for a lot of people. A lot of people lost those positions, those titles that were given to us. Like no one's board is like sales director. It's like, oh, what's her name? Sales director.
Yeah. And also like all of these ways that we can kind of like cover up what we're actually feeling or not feeling, whether it's hustle, 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 get the job, have the title, whatever, or the relationship, or, the drinks, or whatever it happens to be, to just kind of like cover it up. I think that's like a little sliver of beauty that's happening this year, is everybody's really being invited to go inside, to be quiet, to quite literally go inside, and to also go inside of themselves and be like, who am I? What is actually happening here?
And then it's like also what I feel like a lot of people are realizing too, is that your demographic, like the categories of race, gender, sexuality, height, everything, all those things don't really create your destiny. It's who your thoughts, your beliefs, your goals, your dreams, your hopes and wishes are what make you. No one's tombstone is like Black female, age 26.
Yeah.
Sales director. That's not how people remember you. That's not who you are. That's how people may see you as, but you cannot take that identity or that role, that categorization internally, because I have a lot of clients that are Black, brown, people of color, Indigenous people of color, and they'll say something like, I can't believe I'm here, like Black people don't go to therapy. And it's like, who says that? Who said that Black people don't go to therapy? I have a lot of Black clients. And she's like, well, yeah, I just hear. I'm like, so you know what that is, right? That's a limiting idea. That's something that doesn't really apply to most people. Those are just words. Truly, and maybe information, but not truly knowledge, not the truth. So a lot of things that have occurred this year, the one thing I need people to remember is that everything is really a suggestion, and your parents did the best that they could, in their minds, or they just did what they could. But at the same time, what they told you, what they experienced, what you're learning from your parents' school, at friends, everything is a suggestion. It's not the truth, the core truth. So take that information and do with it what you feel is right. But we take on these ideas, we take on these identities, we take on these beliefs and these values, and they make us sad, sick, depressed.
Totally.
And it's time for it to stop. It's time for us to use this time to see what do you really want, what do you truly believe. And there's been pushback on having a purpose, but I think it's what purpose means. Like, people feel like, oh, I need to launch a nonprofit, and it's like, wait, no, that's not really what purpose. Sometimes your purpose really is to unravel the emotional tangle that's your family. Like, you were born to help heal other family members.
Yeah.
Whether it's 3 or 4 people, that's 3 or 4 lives that you being born has changed. Like, you could be born to just change one life. That's the purpose.
Yeah. We definitely put so much pressure and weight on these kind of like big quote unquote things, like the titles, like the jobs, like the money, like the relationships. And really, we think they're going to make us happy, but they ultimately, I mean, they can add joy for sure, but maybe temporarily. And especially if it's not right, it's not right. Like, you really have to understand, what is this limiting belief, this thought in your mind that even exists? Because I think there's so much going on in our world that it's hard to even hear the story you're telling yourself. You have to have someone help you, like you, be like, this is what keeps coming up. And then, it's like, okay, then you take it deeper. Like, when did this happen? And how has it lodged itself into your subconscious and then led to all of these behaviors and how you live your life and continue to tell yourself stories about yourself?
Yeah. And it's like, a lot of people, the voice in their head, they don't realize that it's not even theirs.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I do a lot. Most of my work is with anxiety, and I have like a big story of having anxiety disorder, panic attacks, and it's storytelling. It's literally storytelling. It's telling yourself a story that you have believed either all your life, or a story about something that you're thinking is going to happen in the future, and just not being in the present moment or in your body, really.
Yeah. It's something. So I focus mostly on racial anxiety. So it's almost like not even post-traumatic stress disorder, it's pre-traumatic stress disorder. You're anticipating bad things to happen to you based on maybe your history or what you're seeing and with people that you identify with.
Yeah. And it's, that's interesting. I've never heard of like pre-traumatic, but it makes a lot of sense. And I think that right now, with all of the very necessary conversations that are being had about white privilege and racism, it's so interesting to me that these things can live so deep in the subconscious, within all of us. And unearthing them is necessary at this point.
Because it's like, with your subconscious mind, a lot of people, in terms of the spectrum for anxiety, like, you have the story and you have this belief, and your subconscious, the role it plays is to give you evidence and more evidence that your belief is true. So if you have this belief that bad things happen to you, then you'll be presented with that evidence. The thing with racial anxiety is that there is a lot of evidence. So you're like, damn, come on. So you're like, we're trying to like fix it in your subconscious, but then it's like, okay, look, I'm trying to heal here, and all these things keep coming, and the media, and it's like targeted too. It's not just like, oh, all it just happens to be happening. The media is targeting these beliefs, targeting you to continuously see this evidence, so you continuously feel these emotions and continuously act in a certain way. So my initial thing to my clients is to unplug.
Yeah.
Unplug and heal.
Yeah.
And it's not just like a trendy detox. This is for your actual mental health, because it's targeted, it's strategic to keep you in this state so you're easier to control. If you're calm, cool, and collected, you'll be able to take information and then, form your own opinion on it and say, wait, I don't think that these facts add up. But if you're stressed out, you're like, you know what, you are right. The world is ending. So let me sell all my stock.
Yeah. No, totally. It's like the difference in reacting versus responding.
Exactly.
Doing things from like an embodied, grounded place. And yeah, I mean, getting off of Instagram and off of the internet and off of, unplugging from the news and all of these things, like even just saying it makes me like, like full body sigh and deep exhale. And I know with your clients, you are doing hypnotherapy and hypnosis. And like, this is something that you did early in your life that you said, like, you sought out because you're basically trying to move through heartbreak in a more grounded way. Cause I hear you. I mean, like that's one of the hardest things to go through, and it can send you on a spiral for years. So it's amazing that helped you, like move through that. And so when you're working with your clients, kind of break down hypnotherapy for us, for anybody listening who's curious.
So by the time you come to a hypnotherapist, you've already made up your mind to change. So that's why most of the time all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. You've consciously and subconsciously made the decision to change this thing. So now this allows us to enter, because with the way that the mind is, so when I'm talking about brain, or I'm talking about like the mind, your thoughts, feelings, emotions. So you have five parts. So you have your conscious mind, your pre-conscious, your critical factor, like that wall between your conscious mind, the filter, and your subconscious mind. And then you have your unconscious, and then your superconscious. So
Wow.
you've made this decision to change. And so that allows you to lower that filter, to allow these suggestions, to allow, like, the cleaners to come in. You open the door to have everyone organize and get rid of your grandmother's beliefs, your grandfather's beliefs, your mom's beliefs, your mom's trauma, all this stuff that doesn't belong to you. And the stuff that does belong to you, organize it in a file cabinet with folders, but take out the metadata of emotions, negative emotional charges that could corrupt new files that come in. Because a lot of times the fear that you have is compounded by past experiences. So your trigger is just a reminder of what happened in the past. But if you remove that trigger point, that emotional trigger point, then when you're presented with something, it doesn't create that emotional charge. So then you don't feel that trigger. So you have your facts and history, but you don't have the feelings that are associated with it. Because when you are living in a state of anxiety, constant cycles of anxiety, which then lead to depression, because you're mourning the past and you're not focused, you're dreading the future. And so you're never actually present. You don't actually know what's going on.
This was my experience.
So it's like just going back and forth, and then you have that, then it creates that layer of burnout. So you don't even know what to do or where to go to get help. And so some people would be like, here's a course, here's a self-love kit. And it's like, I don't even want to open my eyes. So that's why I created the program where it's like, just lie back and listen, because this is working on those feelings. Because those feelings and those emotions are what is holding you back. So once you relieve that charge, then you can go into coaching and doing the things, but you have to get up from below the surface. Right now you're like drowning under the iceberg. So now you at least can get to the top of the ice, and then you learn how to skate, you know? It's like, hey, want some skating lessons? You're like, I'm drowning. Could you throw me a hockey stick, please? Like, what are you talking about? Like, people are like, like, let's do coaching. Like, when someone was like coaching for depression, I'm like, what? I can't, this is my experience. I don't know if anyone's doing it now, but it was just like, I'm tired. Oh. Like, what? I don't, filling out like questionnaire. I was like, no, I didn't have the energy. Like, no.
And you're not available for it in that moment.
Not available. You are drowning and you're throwing me ice skates to lace up. I don't know what you're thinking, you know, that's equitable. So you need to get to a certain point. Because a lot of people come to me like, oh, I was looking at this coaching program, I was doing this. And I was like, how long did it take you to actually message me? It's like, wow, it took me like a month. So how long do you think it's going to take you to finish this coaching program? So it's like, it's not me saying don't do coaching, it's saying do it when you're ready so you can actually get the benefits of coaching. Because it's like, once you get on the ice, then you have the best ice skating coach in the world, and that you can show up to be present, lace up those skates and keep going, and then you're gliding and doing all that things. But you need to like at least stop drowning and get to the surface, dry off, okay, your clothes, and then come to practice.
Take your time. Yeah, totally. And it's interesting because I was just talking about this the other day. It's like building back your nervous system resilience, your emotional resilience, and letting yourself take your time rather than like opting into this experience that's kind of like its energy is kind of penetrating and you're just simply not available for it. And then you obviously can't get through that, or you can't even start doing that. So then you just beat yourself up again. So it's just like this loop. And you have to go in and heal and nurture what's the trauma, what's going on in there. Because it's so true with anxiety and with like nervous system resilience, when you're feeling completely crippled by it, there is very little that you can even think about other than that, or take in, or I couldn't go anywhere for months. You know, it's like, I would never have been able to listen to a coach. It would have fed into my narrative that I'm not enough.
Exactly. And so that's why I state this, because I see a lot of people like kind of going after the coaching industry. And it's like, there's a purpose, but it's like, it's your responsibility, you know, to know when you are ready for a coach. And you cannot also put the responsibility of your healing on a coach. The coach is there to guide you, but the healing is yours, you know? And that's empowering, because the healing is yours. So nobody can ever take that away from you. No matter what happens, no one can take that away from you.
I love that.
Is yours. And that's something that you went through. You've calmed down. You stopped thrashing in the water. You saw there was an opening, and then you put your hand on the ice, and then you just took a breath and you lifted yourself out and up. And everyone's looking back like, oh, girl, you were drowning? Like, you're like, yes, I was drowning. Okay, but I'm up now. Thanks for nothing. But so no one, give me some hot chocolate, but I did it on my own, so no one could ever take that from you. And Right? So that is something, and then just realizing that you have that power is what builds the resilience. It's not you pretending that nothing bad is going to happen. It's you knowing that you can handle it. You know, everyone,
Yes.
no one even knew you were drowning. You're like, I'm out of, let's go.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Like your healing is yours, your healing is yours because it's hard. And, I'm sure in your experience and anyone listening, like to go through something where it's a mental health, like trouble, it's hard for the people around you to relate to what you're experiencing because everyone's experience is unique. Also, like there's a big difference in feeling a little down and having depression. And there's a big difference in feeling a little nervous and anxious and having an anxiety disorder. And it's a beautiful thing to try to relate, but I also think it's like really important to not project and be like, I know exactly what you're experiencing. And it's like, oh, no, I don't think you were under the ice drowning. I
Yeah.
think you were a little cold, but you weren't drowning.
And so it's like it's important, and so it's important for you to know yourself and your struggle, because then you're able to identify what can actually help, because if someone is talking about self-care for anxiety and has like an Instagram account for anxiety, you're not on Instagram because it gives you anxiety. So you don't see this account. So you really have anxiety because you're not even on Instagram. So that Instagram account is not going to help you, right? So this is for you to know. And then so it's great to get information, get the knowledge, but it's more important that you log the information, log log your triggers. So you're able to partner with a professional, because you're partnering with a professional, another human being. So they're not infallible. And so I'm in school now for my PhD in clinical psych, and the things that I'm collecting information and stories on prescription abuse. You have to take downers because of ADHD, but then you take uppers because of your depression, because you feel like you can't focus and get the things that you want done. And no one's really addressing the root cause of your depression, or the root cause, or why you feel like you have ADHD. With the way that the world is structured, it's very easy to say someone is unfocused because they're not focusing on what you want them to.
Totally.
So you need to be able to understand yourself more, so you understand, like, no, I just don't care about this. This is not my zone of genius. But then you can go and you can count all these seeds to plant for a 1,000-acre farm. You know how much to order, you know which ones to order. You're like, and this is categorized, and you're in flow state for that. But then you have to go to class and sit in a hard chair and learn calculus when you already know how to count all the things and the math necessary to run your business and live your life. So it's an understanding that it's not that you can't focus, it's just that you don't want to focus on certain things. And that is freedom. That is not a disorder. There are cases where it is a disorder, but we are millennials are highly medicated.
Yes.
Because we were the generation where it's like, this is dumb. And people are like, no, it's not dumb. Something's wrong with you.
You're flawed. Yeah.
Flawed. And you're like, oh, okay. So adults are telling you, like, even though and then I'm an older millennial, so I was diagnosed with ADHD in high school. Like, they didn't get me when I was younger, so they got me in high school. And so I was thinking all these things, and then there's this thing where a lot of my clients, people will try to diagnose them with bipolar disorder. And it's just like and it's just like these women and men are thriving. They're holding very high level positions. So there's no way they can truly have bipolar disorder, you know?
Mhm.
You can't hold a structured position like that.
Yeah.
And it's just wild to me that the professional was just so quick to give them medication and diagnose them with this, because they are sad, because once again, they're passed up for promotion because they're a person of color,
Mm.
but you want to give them medication for bipolar disorder when it's a systematic issue, not a mental issue. So the reason why I'm pushing everyone to kind of go internally and know yourself is so you can be able to avoid these situations and not put your health and your life in someone's hands.
Mm. Yes. I mean, this is really rings true to me. And I was just talking to my sister about it last night. And I mean, I will never forget the moment I went to a doctor because I was having all these symptoms and sensations, and I was terrified for my life. My anxiety levels were so high, and I'm like, I'm dying. I must be dying. Nothing that's happening right now makes sense. I've never felt this before. I'm dying. This is it. And I'm like 19 years old, and my doctor was like kind of laughing at me and was handed me a sample of an anti-anxiety medication or antidepressant or something. And I just remember being like, you didn't even ask me any questions about how's my family life? How am I sleeping well? What am I putting into my body? Do I have a meditation practice? Do I breathe ever? Do I move my body? Like these things. And it's, I mean, and I'm also a big advocate of like, if you got to take the medication, you got to take the medication. Do you know what I mean? Like, it can be the hockey stick to get you out of the water.
Mhm.
100%, but and it's totally necessary, but it is, I feel the same way. It is, they hand these drugs out like candy, and I have a lot of theories about this, but it does take our power away, because the reality is that if we go inside and we do this work to kind of unearth the limiting belief and notice our triggers and heal and be patient and consistent with this work, we can move about the world in a different way.
Exactly. And you are actually able to then bend the world to the way that you live.
Hmm.
So you're no longer trying to keep up, but everything else slows down for you.
Mm. Yes. Yeah, it's incredible that, the world that we live in and how history has occurred is like trying to fit every person into one specific box and one specific time frame and be married by this age and da 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 da. It's like how is that even that literally makes zero sense to me, because every single person is a beautiful unique snowflake, and like we do not need to be like trying to be the same as each other.
It's,
Yeah.
it's so interesting. And then it's like, um the differences that they put for us actually aren't real, because then you'll find similarities through people that ordinarily you would say, oh no, they're different, but then you're like, wow, you're like a very similar person. Similar,
Yeah.
you guys come from the same soul family, like, you
Yeah.
it's like, and so you have this, and then you have this ache. This is when it gets spiritual, because then you have this ache on
Mm.
spiritual level, because you're divided from your soul family by stupid categories. So
Totally.
you can have this entire amazing soul family, but you're like, oh wait, I can't go to Cleveland. What? It's like, oh no, I'm not supposed to go to that place. It's What does that even mean?
Right. I
So
mean, and that ache can be so loud and so painful, and we just try to ignore it. We think there's something wrong with us.
exactly. So what mental clarity gives you is that you listen to your nudges from your higher self. Because when your conscious mind, your subconscious mind are in alignment, this is when your superconscious comes into place, and your higher self sounds different than your ego or your subconscious mind, because it loves you and it only wants the best for you. So you're just going to be like, it's going to be like, go to Cleveland. Yes, go to Cleveland. Go. And then mentally you'll be aligned, so you won't have that fear. and you'll go to Cleveland and you'll get evidence that you should listen to this voice that sounds like you. And then you'll continue to do that over and over again. And then it just becomes something that you do, something you
Mm.
are.
Yeah, it's a practice. I mean, just like literally everything else. And you do have to have mental clarity and a clear channel to be able to hear those voices and to be able to kind of perceive those nudges. Otherwise, you're just so bogged down with like brain fog, anxiety, depression, whatever, that you can't even hear your soul communicating to you. And they all work in conjunction with each other. And it's really, really amazing. And I love this. And I feel like we could go on some serious spiritual tangents.
For me, I really want everyone that comes into my practice to understand that, and it's interesting being on social media, kind of ending up in like different circles just based on what my philosophy is or my method is, where it is a combination of mental, spiritual, physical, emotional health.
Yeah.
So I tell people, they're like, so I don't know who to hire. I'm like, hire everyone. This is your soul team, babes. Hire all these coaches, connect with these communities.
Yes.
This actually, there's there's not a limit to things that replenish you. There's gonna be a limit. Limit things that take away. Don't think that, and you're not wasting money. Money can't be wasted. Money comes back to you. Money is something, energy can be wasted. Money can't. Everyone says money is energy, but money is just really the tool that energy can be sent through. But energy can be sent through many tools.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned this because I wanted to, of course, touch on money and, us feeling like we are worthy of it, of kind of aligning with it, and a little bit about how to do that and like the energetics of that and what you think like the best advice is to get in that flow.
So if you are, no matter what role that you are in, if you ask yourself these questions, how can I help? Who can I help? How can I make this better? How can I make this easier? How can I make this nicer? And no matter if you're at work and you make things easier for your company, you can demand higher rates because you made things easier. And the thing is, they'll pay you that rate because you made it clear every single day that you make things easier, you make things better. And doing that and asking yourself these questions and seeing the evidence of you doing that gets rid of the block of asking for it. Because you continuously send your subconscious mind, I do this and I do that. If that's something that is a block to you, it's easy to get payment for it. And then what's great about it is that it becomes part of your identity. You're just someone that makes things better and makes things easier no matter where you go, no matter if it's a pandemic, no matter if it's apocalypse. We want to go on your bus.
Yeah, totally.
Come with me if you want to live. Like Terminator, no matter if it's apocalypse in a bakery, at the shop, like
Yeah, totally.
and a cat in a hat in a cat, like that rap. But but eventually when you start to ask yourself these questions as a business owner, as an employee, as a mother, as a sister, brother, you start to see that's you living your purpose, you making people's lives a little better every day.
I love this so much. And I think that it's really important for anyone trying to put anything out into the world with the intention of whether it's making money or it having success, whether it's making art or launching a new online course or a new offering in your business or trying to get a raise, whatever it is, but to go to sit in the energy of I'm doing this for the higher good. I'm doing this to align with people that need this from me, and to make things easier for people, rather than kind of going into the situation as like, okay, I'm going to launch my new group coaching program and I'm going to make $1 million and that's what's happening. It's like that throws you out of the energy of receiving. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%, because it's the wall there. Even like your body language shifted. Your body language was like
Totally.
like that, like instead of like
You're closed off. Yeah.
who can I help?
Yes. Yes.
Hi. You know, it's like that little that Snapchat with the little boy who's like doing the little animal faces. How are you today? How are you today? How are you today? Say that to your clients, say that to your employers, say that to people on the street. How are you today?
Yeah.
How can I help? And that energy always comes back. And it doesn't take, I'm an introvert, and I'm able to run a practice because I do it in this energy. I'm also a generator, my human design. So it's like I really have to do what I love, or I'm like
Yeah.
done. So I have clients that deal with burnout, and it's like start making your energy list. A list of things that you need to do, or your obligations, and then put down who has to do this. Like dentist, all right, it has to be your mouth, so you gotta go. But who has to drop the cake off? Like, can't you can hire a task rabbit for that. And then what's awesome is that yes, you're spending this money, but you're also allowing someone to receive money to do something that doesn't drain them.
It just feels so much better. It feels so much better. And it does, it kind of, it increases your level of like connectedness to self, but also to like universe and God and spirit and whatever you want to call it. But source, it allows the energy to flow freely. Yeah, that resonates a lot. And it is honestly really helpful moving forward in business and in life.
And it makes the world a less scary place. Because I had anxiety of like just being hurt as a woman, as a Black woman. Like I remember it was 2 years ago. It was when I trigger warning violence. So if this is, I just want to share the story, but it's based on the girl that was stabbed on the train in San Francisco. And I took the train, and I'm in New York, but still, I was like rattled. So I was just taking Ubers, and it didn't feel, it just felt like just Uber out of fear. And then someone was attacked in an Uber. So then I was like, I just had this idea that there's just danger right at my door, right? And wherever I go, there it is. And so shifting out of that mindset when you try to just focus on that mindset, it's hard. So when you just like go inward and then outward, then you don't even remember those memories, or that those thoughts don't come to you anymore, because you're seeking different evidence.
Yeah.
In terms of racism, like my actual dealing with racism one-on-one, from my experience, I haven't dealt with it in like 4 or 5 years, because it's something that I just didn't put in my mind. Like, so it's like you can see a Yelp review, someone else saying this restaurant is awful and racist, but I happened to go to that restaurant on the night where that manager and that server were off, and it was a new person that wasn't racist, and then the people that were eating around us were not racist, and we just had a great conversation. We had a great old time on that one night.
Yeah.
It does not change the fact that the restaurant has racist people, but I just didn't experience it because I happened to go on that night where they weren't there.
Yeah.
So you need to understand that you don't change the world. You change what you experience in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's crazy. We assign meaning to everything that we interact with, everything that we see, feel, hear. We assign meaning to it, and what happens when we take that meaning away? It's like literally everything changes.
Mhm.
It's incredible. It's such powerful work. It's such powerful work. What is coming up next for you in your business, in your work that like you're most excited about to share with everybody?
I'm excited about Master Your Universe. It is now my flagship package program because it combines one-on-one hypnosis sessions with brain training and group activations. And we go through the 7 dimensions of self,
Mm.
well, 8 dimensions of self, but it's just really just aligns everything in your life and allows you to cultivate your orbit, so you can be the person that goes to the restaurant that one night when there is a like that crazy stuff, or like you are that person that crosses the bridge before it collapses. Like,
Mm.
it's just like you are the person that is able to catch the train, like sliding doors. So it's just like your destiny. You have your destiny, but the way that you get there can either be a bumpy ride or a nice like Euro train, those nice luxury Euro train. Example I use is that I went to Europe with my friend, one of my good friends. And so she's like a chill person at the time. She's like super chill. So she planned her trip. Like she ordered her train tickets from Paris to London and in advance. And for me, I was like, what if something happens? So I don't want to, invest the money. And now I need to just so I'd like to buy things last minute.
Mm.
So, so I ended up buying the plane ticket, but I overslept. So I missed the plane. So then I didn't want to invest any more money in traveling. So I was just like, I'm going to take a bus. So she's in a nice train luxury cart drinking like champagne and arrives in London. And I'm in like the bus, like, we both end up in London, but if my thoughts and my actions and my emotions were aligned, I would have done the same things that she did in order to have a better trip.
Yeah.
So
That's really funny. And it reminds me of this thing that my coach says to me is like, you get to choose your suffering. Like there's suffering is inevitable. And so it's like, do you want to choose the pain of growth, or do you want to choose the pain of staying exactly where you are?
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, shit. If we got to pick one. We might as well. I mean, it's amazing too when you start to do this work and have these conversations and understand these stories, these voices that are constantly in the back of your head and mind, just telling you some stuff that just isn't true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So essentially, if anyone was wondering, like, what is hypnosis and how it's different from meditation, is
Yeah.
meditation is designed to, because my clients hated meditating because it forced them to be present. You
Hmm.
can't be present if you're stuck consistently, like feeling attacked by the past and worried about the future. So what hypnosis does is we're able to go to the past and release you from it. So then you can be present and create your future.
Yes. Then you can have the mindfulness practice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you're present, you're here, and you love it here.
Yes. I love it so much. I love it so, so much. One question I ask everybody who's on the show is, what is your helmet? What is something in your life that you turn to ground you down, to make you feel safe, and to feel really good moving through life?
I always like to be near a body of water for either walking by it. So just being near a park or nature. And that reminds me of who I am and where I am in the world, that we're not on the internet highway. We are on a planet with other living organisms, and I'm one of them.
Yes. Yes. It's humbling. It's like I'm a part of something greater.
Exactly. I'm not alone.
Ooh, I love that. I love that so much. Yeah. And where can we find you on that internet highway?
You can find me on Instagram at Juliet C Obodo, and I post daily YouTube videos now. I'm doing it for the rest of 2020 just because I can't really engage as much as I wanted to on Twitter anymore or blog, but I like to talk. I discovered I like to talk, and I can do it if it's recorded and just upload it. So I can just stop and have my daily upload, like really daily download for the day, and it's uploaded, and you can get tips and kind of get my energy and see where I am and where I'm going and tap in.
I love that. I love that. And do you just search your name on YouTube and you can get to
Juliet C.
Awesome. And then FWRD Institute and Master Your Universe, how do we get there?
Oh, sure. So on FWRD Institute, you'll have the option to join one of the workshops. In order to get the idea, I like you to kind of jump into the learning first to get used to it, and then you'll get the invitation to join Master Your Universe.
Awesome. And I'm just curious right now, since you talked about like the daily downloads and like recording them on YouTube, how do you feel like every day? What does your practice look like to kind of get you to that place to feel like you can receive and clear your channel? What's your daily practice?
So when I wake up, I kind of envision like what I want from my day. Like today I definitely will, resolve this issue, or today I will finally be able to get clarity on something. So when I resolve an issue, I just share that lesson and how I resolved it. If I get clarity on something, I share what that clarity is. So the YouTube channel is really my thoughts and feelings and my tips and stuff, like how, or during a session, I might walk a client through something. Because with hypnosis, my method has evolved to something that is a combination of different methods and information that I have, and then also based on how my client thinks, how their brain works,
Yep.
So if I need to focus on feeling, like feel it, or if I need to be more visual, descriptions,
Yep.
Energetic, so all these things. So I'll share the new technique with someone on YouTube that they can do it at home if they inclined,
That's awesome.
To help you kind of get a little further each day is my goal.
Love it. I can't wait to check that out. I didn't know that you had that. So, because I love all your Instagram videos and reels and things. I'm just, every time you post something, I'm like, yes. I'm so fascinated by this stuff. And I'm so grateful that you were down for coming on the show and sharing your story with us. Thank you so much for being here. And I can't wait to see what else comes from all of this work and how many lives it's changing and like literally shifting consciousness, like very casual things over here.
Don't mind me. Just elevating humanity, on my dating profile, like elevating humanity.
Oh my God.
Well, I didn't put that. I just kidding. But maybe I'll get some swipes.
I mean, that's how you know you can like vet a person or not. Like if a man cannot hold that, then see you later,
Tell me more about you elevating humanity.
I love it. I love it.